Yeah, well, hang out with us indeed. My book has launched. It is live. You can get it now. And the reason I showed that clip at the beginning of this stream is because The Wild Geese is a book that is a film that I talk about in the book at some length. Maybe what we'll do is we'll talk about a couple of the choices that ended up in the book tonight, and that'll give us a segue. But if you're watching the stream and you're a YouTuber, whether you've collaborated with me or not, this is officially a Late Night with Lancey episode, and you want to pop on like Northern English Bastard has done, then just drop us a message in the chat, and we'll find a way to get you the link, and we can bring you on. That's the same for any of my mods who might want to come on. I know some of them are a bit shy, but Jam and Hammer, if you fancy popping on, you don't have to come on camera. But if you do want to come in and say hello, you are very welcome to do so. The links for purchasing the book are actually down below in the information, but I will also drop them now in the chat. Very important to remind people, if you are from the States, obviously don't order the book from amazon.co.uk, which is the first link I'm putting in the chat, because that will take some time to arrive. You want to order it from amazon.com if you are in the US. That will arrive in just a few days. But if you order it from .co.uk, it'll take quite a while to arrive. Northern, you've already ordered one.
Yes, I did. Because like you said, I think it's about your experiences with all the movies you did, and I like to indulge in people's opinions in different movies and how it's changed their lives and shifted and shapes them as well through their experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a film about all the stories of me working in the industry.
Yeah, no,
I could write a different book about that. There's some crossover there, but yeah, it is more about the impact of films on my life. I've used this phrase a few times about how films can steal time from your life as a result of you seeing them. I mean, just imagine our society if Star Wars had never come out. You know, I mean, somebody would have made a film like it at some point, but it might have been with a completely different aesthetic. Imagine if the first ever modern sci-fi movie was the 1980s take on Flash Gordon. Then what we would have had about 5 other really kind of campy, over the top sci-fi sort of throwbacks. You know, you would have had Buck Rogers, and you would have had they would have all been feature films as well. All of those, you know, Buck Rogers Conquers the Martians, and all those old black and white things would have all been made as movies. It's so. Obviously, I talk about Star Wars. I talk about The Wild Geese. The Wild Geese is the first time my parents ever let me stay up to see a movie all the way through to the end on a school night. And there's a whole big story about how I managed to convince them ultimately to let me stay up. And the first time that movie screened, it went either side of the news, and ITV paid a fortune for that film. There was a bidding war actually with the BBC, and the BBC lost. And so ITV wanted to make sure it got its money's worth. So it screened the film either side of the news. And then within those 2 blocks, of course, there were 2 or 3 advert breaks. So that's how they made their money, with the advertising. And they had a massive billboard up on the South Bank, huge poster for this. They even did a little thing where they talked about that. Oh, you've probably seen the huge poster for The Wild Geese on the South Bank, and they cut to a shot of it. This was at the end of the news, because what you need to understand is in the 1970s, films were a really big deal, but they were only accessible by one of 2 ways: watching them on the television when they were scheduled, or going to the cinema when they were released. There was no video yet. No one owned a VHS recorder. So there weren't video shops. And there was no streaming. So if you missed that film when that film was on at that time, who knew when you were going to get to see it again? So if a film was on and I wanted to see it, all manner of begging campaigns took place with my parents to ensure that I was allowed to stay up and watch these movies. Do you remember the first movie you were allowed to stay up and watch late as a kid, like a bit that was on a bit past your normal bedtime? Do you remember that?
Oh God, very, very vague. I think maybe Jaws. I don't know. It's been a long time though. It's a long time.
Those are the kind of stories that I've got very specific memories of. I mean, I have a huge chunk of my life missing. I talked about it before. I had brain hemorrhage thing that happened, and there's a big chunk. There's about 10 years where I really can't remember anything. So in that section of the book, there's only like a couple of movies, but I do have all these very specific memories before and after that. The other thing that really helped with the book is I saved all my cinema tickets, and they're all in this big box here. Look, right? You look at these, because we don't get these tickets anymore because everything's done online. And I was just going through these on Tomby's stream. So, for example, look, here's my ticket for Point Break.
Christ,
1991, £7, 3:00 in the afternoon. That was on a Wednesday. So that would have been the first week, and that's at the Odeon West End. That would have been when it was a single screen before it was split into two screens, which was the first cinema I ever went to. And then I've got a whole load of others here. So Options is where I used to work. So I've got a few tickets from Options. This is Young Guns 2. I don't know why I kept these ones, but I did. The writing is so faded, but that's Young Guns 2. But I have literally hundreds from the West End. I've got When Harry Met Sally. I saw that actually at a film festival first in Brighton. This will be the occasion when I took a load of friends of mine to see it. So that was another one. Lethal Weapon. 3.
Christ, damn, man.
I've got stuff from really early. I mean, I've got stuff from the 80s in here, quite a few. Here you go. So this is the opening weekend of. I went to see Indiana Jones 3 several times. This is the Saturday that I went, but it actually opened on a Wednesday, and I took 40 people to see it on that Wednesday instead of going to I couldn't go to my college graduation ball. I was working at the cinema. That's why I couldn't go. Couldn't get the night off. And so I was like, fuck that. We're going to have a ball of our own. So I organized. The Empire had just been redecorated. It was just it all just been done up, right? And basically, I knew that the opening film was going to be Indiana Jones 3, and I thought, well, I reckon Indiana Jones 3 is probably going to be pretty good. So I said to everybody, and by the way, our college ball, I didn't go to it, but apparently it was crap. It was in a really awkward place that people couldn't get to. Most people at the college didn't drive or own a car back then, so hardly anybody turned up. It was all a bit shit. So everybody was really looking forward to this thing, and I said, well, it's our ball, so we've all got to wear tuxes and ball gowns and stuff. So everybody turned up looking dead posh, and we had this big block of 40 seats booked, and we were all dressed up. So everybody in the cinema was, oh, those people must be really important. They all look very, very important. But we were it was the opening night, and it was on a Wednesday, and then there was a train strike, so we couldn't get up there. But we organised all these cars, and I had walkie-talkies. So we had a walkie-talkie in each car. I think we had a fleet of about 10 vehicles, because everybody that drove was like, right, you're driving. And that was back in the day when you could drive into central London. If you knew the places, you could park up for free. And I knew this road right around the corner from Waterloo Station that was free parking. So we all drove up to there, and then we walked over the river, and that's how we got to see the film. Look at this, ticket for Cannon Cinema.
What film is it? Let's have a look. January Man.
The January Man. That was with.
I think I've seen that one.
That was with Alan Rickman and Kevin Kline.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I love it, man.
It's all right. It's not. I watched it because of the cast. It's not a great movie. Look at this, Ritz video card. That was a chain of video rental stores that I used to work at.
Yeah, we had Jacksons and sometimes Blockbusters whenever we got a chance to.
Canon Haymarket. That's the same Haymarket that I had the premiere of The Journey. Same screen. And I would
if you go on YouTube, you can see the idents of all the original cinemas, like the old Odeon adverts, before it announced the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched them. It really brings back memories of when my dad used to take me down to Odeon when I was a kid.
Good to see some of the regulars in here. We got Razorhead, we got Jamalama,
Proctophile,
who's currently on his other stream. Proctophile, Wormy Spoons is here. Good to see you guys. Do share the stream if you can. This is impromptu. I originally was going to do this on Sunday, then it was going to be Friday. It was supposed to be last Sunday. But then the book wasn't ready, and I'm so glad I delayed it a week because I put myself under so much pressure, and I was going balmy when things were starting to go wrong, and I thought, no, we have to delay a week. But I want to show you. See, if you going back to this Indiana Jones story, which is, like I say, it's one of the stories in the book, is the Empire had just been redone up, and we didn't know anything about what was in store, and basically they had just done this, that they'd installed a THX sound system. They were the second cinema in the West End. The first cinema to get a THX sound system was the Warner West End, and I actually saw the very first film that they screened in a THX, which was Revolution with Al Pacino. Right, not a brilliant film, but so when the Empire reopened, so imagine this: there's 40 of us sitting in this cinema. We're in the very first screening since it's been redone up. It's it's all got brand new seats, nice leather. You can smell the leather and all that kind of stuff. But the screen is the same size and everything. So we're sitting and we're waiting for the film to start. We've had the adverts, we've had the trailers, and then this is what happens, right? So watch this.
Don't know if the screen is freezing there. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, it's going.
No, it's running. So we thought the film was starting, and then suddenly you hear this rumble of thunder, and we're like, what's going on? And the whole thing goes pitch black. Suddenly you've got this lightning shooting across the screen, and we're like, what's this? Bear in mind, I'd taken 40 people to see this. None of us knew this was coming. It was a proper, like, whoa moment, And this was like, it was a demonstration of the sound system, which was amazing, by the way. You have to remember, like, no one had ever seen anything like this before a movie. And then all the stars lit up in the ceiling like that, which was like really cool.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it in a little bit now, yeah. And man, cinema's gotten really dull at the moment.
Yeah, that was, so you can see that on YouTube. It's on this guy's got it on his channel. That's what happened at the beginning of Indiana Jones. Hey, Stepenzo, good to see you. Let me know if you want to come on, man. I'll send you the link. So
I'll just send the link to the Losers Doc side anyway.
Yeah. Okay, send it over so they have it. So that so imagine sitting there waiting for Indiana Jones 3 to come on, which don't forget was a pretty cool movie of itself, and then suddenly all that happens, and you get all of those effects. You got the lightning shooting down the wall. It was proper good, man. And everybody turned around to me and went, "Lance, this is pretty cool." And I was like, "Yeah, this cinema trip is the bollocks. Everyone's going to remember this," and they did. No one ever talks about the end of year college ball. Everybody always all they talked about was that cinema trip. I'll tell you, and Yeah, man. So it was great stuff. So I mean, literally, like if I pull out one side of this, well, I've got 3 or 4 stacks of tickets like this in this box. So there's so.
I'm surprised the box isn't even bigger. I'm really surprised.
Well, and do you know what? I didn't keep all of them, and at one point I nearly threw this away. I think one of the things I might do is at some point I might see if I can have them all mounted on a board, but I wouldn't want to do that until I owned my own house, and then I could do that and have it nicely laminated, and it would be like a big piece of artwork on the board, but it would be all these tickets, which I think would be really cool. Get it done by someone professionally, so I don't cock it up. So this is the Days of Thunder. Empire Screen 1. I talk about the Empire Screen 1, which is what you just saw, which is now an IMAX. Sadly, the original Empire doesn't exist anymore. That screen, anyway.
Yeah, Stupenzo said the phrase in here, how you managed to pack all that in that tight little box, I do not know. So
well, that's what she said. So yeah, but if there was a film coming out that I really wanted to see and it was on Empire Screen 1, I would go there. Star Trek look, there you go. Star Trek 6, Undiscovered Country. That was
so good. Such a good film as well.
That was for my birthday. Look at this one. Wayne's World.
Yeah, that's a film I still love, even though it's probably dated now. But God, it's that's pure nostalgic analysis, that.
And I went to the opening night of Home Alone at the Odeon Leicester Square. So these are all cinemas in Leicester Square, which I talk about again in some detail at the beginning of the book. Hey, look, so this one, Hunt for Red October, which I took my parents to see, had its very own laser show, and the laser show consisted of I've looked for it. They haven't got it on YouTube. They drew the conning tower of the Red October, and it kind of like advanced up the screen like that and got bigger and bigger. It was really nuts. So this is a ticket from Cinema 89, which was the Brighton Film Festival that ran for 3 years. That was the very first screening of When Harry Met Sally in the UK. So somehow I got into that for 0 pence. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because they were bought. I bought a load of tickets in bulk, so maybe the price wasn't on the individual. Batman Returns. I mean, I'll have the ticket for the original Batman in here somewhere. These are all part of the London Film Festival. Midnight Clear, where I met the director, Keith Gordon, who I talk about in the book. There's a picture of me and him. He became a really big mentor for me. So I saw the very first, also at the London Film Festival, very first screening of Sister Act.
Yeah, back when Whoopi Goldberg was kind of likable.
You know, I just don't. I don't do that thing where I.
Yeah,
she's
got a bit crazy now, but I did like it as a kid, though. I mean, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, there's Cloud City kind of thing. I don't know what this is. I don't know where this came from. Star Wars Galaxy.
Maybe West Summit now. Who knows?
Could be. I'm not quite sure.
How old is it anyway?
Oh, it's old. There's I talk about Alien War, which was like a live immersive attraction. Got a sort of ticket thing for it here and a fly for it. I used to, for one of my birthdays, we went to see Heat. This is in the book. And I knew the guys that worked at Alien War, so I arranged for me to be dragged out the lift by the alien, which was a setup, and that was a lot of fun. And you had these Marines taking around the base, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. Here we go, some Alien War tickets here. So I don't know if you probably were too young when that was around.
Yeah, I was born 88.
So if you look at it,
yeah,
this is a,
sorry.
This is a ticket for Terminator 2. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Opening weekend. On the back, you know.
Still one of the best films ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite glad.
I barely can find the flaw with that movie. Must have watched it thousands of times. Funnily
enough, I must have dug this out when Ron came on. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I can't remember. But there's the ticket for City Slickers, which I saw at the Odeon Leicester Square opening day. I'd go up on my days off from the cinema and I'd watch films. I mean, how nuts is that? And this is True Lies.
Yeah.
That's
I think we have a friend in the private chat.
we do. Let's get him in. Let's get. I think he had something to do with this book. Oi, oi.
Hello, gentlemen.
How are you, sir?
Hello, Scottish
hang
drinker.
on.
Oh, he's off. He's off.
Your fastest appearance ever. Sorry.
Yeah,
about
I
that.
thought you were going to tell me to go away now and then just dump me out of the chat. No,
that's,
I just
that's standard. Thank you for coming.
I wanted to drop in and congratulate you on the launch of your book, mate. It's awesome stuff, and I had the opportunity to read a good chunk of it while you were still working on it. So I appreciate you showing me that stuff and sharing it with me. And I can, for anyone who's watching this, I can heartily recommend it. It's honestly an excellent read.
It's got a lot of pictures in it now, which were not.
Well, that's good.
Which were not in it before. Yeah, it's not a coloring book or anything. Just
yeah,
you can try coloring.
A few pages of photographs, and which like most books sometimes have.
Well, I had my movie quiz on Saturday. You know, I do it every year. One year, Drinker will be here for that. And
1 year.
Yeah, it's usually the first weekend of December every year. So we had it on Saturday. 2 teams battling it out, and one of my friends, Nicola Gregory, a producer, was here for the quiz, and I had the dummy copy of it here, and she said, "Oh, why don't you have more pictures in it?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got a couple in it." She said, "Yeah, but you've got loads of photos of really cool things. You should put more pictures in it." So I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that, and that was the whole reason it got basically delayed a week, was because I decided to put pictures in, and there's quite a few now, just from mainly sort of, and I'm sure I could find more because I know I've got a photograph of everybody waiting outside the cinema, looking very hungover on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, waiting to go and see Die Hard. And they're all like, "Lance, what the fuck are we doing here?" You know, you can see it in the picture. They all look really miserable. One guy who's like this in the photo. Yeah, we should have really taken an after pick, because afterwards everybody was like, "Oh, right, now we understand why you got us here at 10 o'clock in the morning. That film was amazing." So, because I'd already seen it. I'd seen it in America. So that's a story in the book. That story was in 1988, so I didn't over embellish it too much. But Drinker, I was just showing everybody like my huge collection of cinema tickets.
I can't believe you've kept them all these years. It's amazing.
Mate, yeah, you know, I was just saying earlier, how the hell does he fit all that into that tight little box? And Stupenzo just popped up saying phrasing.
Yeah.
There's Star Trek 6. I talk about the Empire Screen 1 in the book a lot.
This is what I really enjoyed about your book. Not just talking about the movies themselves, but the whole experience of going to the cinema and the connections that you make with it. Like whether it's, you know, some of these cases, like there's cinemas that don't even exist anymore. You know, they close down and things change, and that's just the nature of the industry, I suppose. But you know, it could be the particular place or the time in your life when you happen to see this film and you form a close association with it, or even something like, you know, you were feeling down that day and you watched this particular movie and it cheered you right up. I think that's the great thing about film that we can all relate to. You know, everyone has a connection to the films that they see or their favorite movies. And it often goes beyond just the quality of the actual end product. It's all the things that go with it. And I think that's, you know, what I enjoyed a lot about your book is just that sense of connection that you get with the films that you talk about. I think it's great stuff.
I mean, one of the interesting things, like you were saying about cinemas that don't exist, here are 2 of them talking of that. So the biggest cinema in the UK used to be the Odeon Marble Arch, which is where I saw Aliens, was the first film I saw at that cinema. And I didn't understand why my cinema manager said, "We're going up to watch Aliens. It's on at the Odeon Marble Arch, there's a special screening. Tickets are on sale for the public. But what they've done is they've invited everybody that works at all the cinemas in London. So there was a whole load of us from across the chain. And that's when I didn't know that Gail Ann Hurd and Cameron were literally sitting like 5 rows behind me. So nuts to think that. Because that they had arranged that screening. Because I don't know if you remember this, but nothing had everything on the industry grapevine back then, which was all word of mouth, there were no social media, was Aliens was going to tank because Cameron upset a lot of people on the set. So they all got tongue wagging and everybody turned around and said this film was going to be rubbish, right? So, but of course, Cameron and Gail Ann Hurd knew that they had a good film. So they planned, you didn't have advanced screenings then. So they decided, right, we're going to have this screening. It's going to be on I think it was a Wednesday night, Wednesday or Thursday. The film started just after midnight. So as soon as we finished working at the cinema, our manager got these 2 BMW hire cars, really nice cars. We all jumped in. There were 10 of us that went up. There's all the ushers, box office staff, everybody from our cinema went up. And the Odeon Marble Arch was 1,300 capacity, had about 700 in the stalls and about 500 upstairs. And we were upstairs about 5 rows back from the front. 70mm screen, up to that point, the biggest screen in the UK. That screen was still bigger than the London IMAX that we got today. It was, the width of it was about the width of like 6 houses. It was huge.
Jesus.
And so when the film opened, you know, and this is the first time I'd ever been in this cinema, and I've been in some big cinemas up to this point, I was like, fuck, how come I've never come here before? So as soon as I'd been to the Odeon Marble Arch, if there was a film I wanted to see there, I would go back and see it there. And one of the films I saw there, I don't mention it in the book actually, was Total Recall. There's the ticket.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, in fact, that's the other time I went, which was there you go, the Odeon Marble Arch, Total Recall. So and that's on the opening Friday to the public, 8:30 screening, £5. Pretty reasonable price back then. And that cinema is no longer there. It's gone. It's been demolished. It's now a hotel. The Odeon Haymarket, I talk about this screening in the book when I went to see Dead Poets Society. Opening night, 8:40, £4.50. This is in September 89. That cinema was a really beautiful cinema that had a very small frontage. You went down, you went into the basement, and it was just really nice. Very nice seats, only about 480 people, and films that were perceived as slightly intellectual. So things like The Mosquito Coast was the first film that me and my then girlfriend ever saw there. Dead Poets Society, you know, another sort of slightly intellectual drama. Directors loved having their films premiere there because it said that their film was intellectual. So everybody always liked having their film screening there. So I talk about that a little bit. And that cinema's gone now. It closed down. It's actually been, they couldn't hire it out for anything. There was going to be a nightclub there and that all fell through, and it's just sitting there empty as far as I know.
Oh, the fact it was bigger than the IMAX cinemas today, and you've seen the bloody xenomorph just come at you, that big, that must have been very daunting.
That must have been like when you know, with the sound system there, like when the pulse rifles start going off, man, that must have been great fun.
It was incredible. They did us not long before it closed, because by then they were struggling to fill the seats. You know, huge cinema, and this was in the 90s, and figures were starting to drop a bit. And there were just too many cinemas. There were too many in the West End. So what they did was they did a season of films in 70mm. And one of the films that I'd never seen at the cinema and couldn't even remember if I'd watched it all the way through was Lawrence of Arabia. And that tied in with that Lawrence of Arabia remastering and everything. So I thought, right, I'm going to go up and see Lawrence of Arabia. And Odeon Marble Arch, massive screen, all those big epic shots from David Lean. My God, that was amazing. And I don't think actually I didn't mention that in the book, and that could have easily been another entry, but I just, you know, can only fit so many. I cheated the number of films already in there somewhat by quite a few. But yeah, I've also got things like I've got tickets in here from the London Film Festival. So back then, the London Film Festival tickets would look like this. and I'm not even sure what movie that is. What is that? Mistress. That was with Robert De Niro. That's a really good film, actually, really good indie film. And then this is the very first screening in the UK of Candyman.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. So this was a film I saw at the London Film Festival. My God, I remember Casualties of War. And it was
that's Michael J. Fox, isn't it?
Yeah. Great film.
Oh, that's a tough watch. That one.
It really is, man.
It was packed, and I was supposed to go on a date with this girl who worked at the cinema box office, and she stood me up. And I
mean, honestly, that would be a bad movie to go and watch with a girl.
Yeah, it wasn't a great date movie. I'll be honest.
Not really going to get her in the mood. I don't think.
Crazy women that love seeing Asian women getting violated. Then it's a bad day.
Well, I didn't know all I knew was it was set during the Vietnam War and it starred Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. That was all I knew about it. So I thought, right, I'm going to go and see that.
It's weird that horror films seem to be the better date movies, though.
I think so, yeah. Well, it's an excuse for them to, like, hold you close because they're scared. So, one thing leads to another and all that.
Yeah. Oh, you checked out Heretic yet? That is a good one, man. I've just watched it today, man.
Hugh Grant. I heard that it's meant to be good, yeah.
With Hugh Grant, I did like that film. Hugh Grant is having an absolute ball.
He's one actor that's kind of gotten better in my books because he was kind of this foppish sort of pretty boy for the romantic leads, but he's kind of better when he's playing scumbags. He really is.
I think it's once he's gotten into middle age, like, and he's not like got the boyish looks anymore, he's kind of broadened out into more interesting roles, and he's doing good stuff now. It's great to see him have fun with it.
Yeah.
Drinker, did you have a film in the book or a moment that resonated with you or connected to a kind of a moment you had maybe with your own dad or something like that?
The Spy Who Loved Me. I had a lot of fond memories of, like, I watched a lot of the Bond movies with my dad, particularly for some reason the Roger Moore ones. I don't know why. I guess, like, just during my childhood, they happened to be on TV quite a bit. And so he and I would usually, tune in to watch them when they were on. And it really, the bits in the early stages of the book when you were talking about, like, reading the Radio Times to get, like, the TV listings.
Yeah.
That's what you had to do back then, because we didn't have Sky TV, so we didn't have, like, program listings or anything. And we only had 4 channels back then. Channel 5 hadn't even come out yet.
No, that's right.
And so it really was luck of the draw. Like, you would just have to hope that there was good movies on that you could watch. Otherwise, it was a trip to Blockbusters for you. But I had a lot of fond memories of watching stuff like that with them. And the action classics as well, like Die Hard, Predator, and that sort of thing. Like, I was an Aliens. I remember that scared the shit out of me the first time I watched it. I was only 8, maybe. So probably a bit too young for it, but...
No such thing as enforcement of certification in your house.
Exactly, yeah. Parents are always pretty chill about that sort of thing.
I think I was watching Lethal Weapon when I was 7, and you got a woman drugging herself and jumping off the balcony with her tits out. It's like...
because a lot of movies in that period would just have a random bit of, like, topless,
nudity.
Stuff. Yeah. And it was always awkward if you happened to be watching it with your dad, but, you got through it.
I'm thinking about the very first movie that scared me. I think I mentioned this in the book. There was a season of horror films on, I think it was the BBC that ran it. I might be wrong. And I know that on that season, there was Carrie, there was The Fog, there was Halloween. This would have been around 1982, something like that. And they screened on Saturday night at 9:00. And I think it might have been BBC Two. And you had that kind of posh announcer. Now on BBC Two, we continue our horror season.
Yeah,
Carrie. And so I was watching Carrie, and my parents were pretty liberal, but they would always like. I had the old TV in my room upstairs, and I think it might have even been the black and white one at that time. What I realized I could do was, if I turned the contrast right down on the telly. Because it had those old big knobs on the side of it, I could make it.
Look careful, Lance, careful. Fiddling with your big knob, eh?
Yeah, well, I could make it look like the TV was off. So if I heard my mum coming up the stairs to check on me, I would turn the contrast down because back then TVs took about 2 minutes to come on. You'd switch them on and
they had to warm up. Yeah,
little dot would appear in the middle, and it was slowly the picture would come up. And I thought I don't want to have to do that every time. So I would turn the contrast down, turn the volume down, quickly get hide under the covers and do that kind of sort of thing, which I'm sure didn't fool my mum for 1 minute. And and then basically, turn it back up again as soon as she'd gone out. But on this occasion, they had said I could stay up and watch Carrie. And then I don't know if you guys have seen Carrie, but it's got a massive jump scare in the last 30 seconds where the girl's dreaming and she's going to see Carrie's grave. Do you
yeah.
And then suddenly that hand comes out and grabs the girl who ended up being the first wife of Steven Spielberg, incidentally. And oh my God, it scared the shit out of me. And I jumped up out of my bed and I fell out of it. So not only did my parents hear me scream, but they heard this big, somebody came running up. I can't remember if it was my mum or my dad, and were like, "You all right?" "Oh, yeah. No, I just tripped." And by then the titles were coming up on the
because you got right to the end. So
yeah,
I what I liked as well, like you reference a lot of like the older stuff, like The Land That Time Forgot. I've got such a fondness for that goofy old movie. The
is that with Raquel Welch, or is it another one?
No, this is 10 million years BC. You think The Land of Time Forgot is like where I don't know, they're on like a submarine or something, and like they end up finding this remote island that nobody had charted before. And it's got like cavemen and dinosaurs and all the usual like crazy shit on it. But it's great fun. Like it's such a weird combination of different stuff. And it's like a German U-boat or something.
It's, when I watched it as a kid, and I say this in the book, I actually thought it was set during World War II.
Well, yeah, because you kind of associated that. Like you saw movies like not the Cruel Sea, The Enemy Below and stuff, and it's like U-boats from World War II. But yeah, they were around in World War I and II, apparently.
No, they were, and it's actually a World War I submarine. And but anyway, there was a big poster for that movie. I'm trying to find it right now because I know I've got the poster on my desktop somewhere. There was a big poster for that right near my school. Here it is. And that poster was designed by legendary poster designer Tom Chantrell. Tom Chantrell also designed a poster for another film you may have heard of, which was called Star Wars.
Nah, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it'd be overrated.
Hey, by the way, did you watch Skeleton Crew? And did you?
No, I'm going to try and watch a bit of it before open bar tomorrow. I've heard it's not bad.
Actually, do you know what? As a kid's sort of, it's very much like The Explorers. If you ever saw Joe Dante's The Explorers.
I did. Yeah, I don't.
Enzo was talking about it like it kind of becomes like Space Pirates, which kind of feels a bit like Star Wars. I mean, Space Pirates or Space Western kind of combined together is what made it so good.
I don't mind
because I was reluctant to like, if it was shit to like really go in hard on it, because it's like it's really just a bunch of kids, and I don't want to shit all over something that they've done. So
no, it's really not that bad. It's I get why people say, hey, it doesn't look like the Star Wars aesthetic, but going down a bit of a rabbit hole here. But if you the main plot is that this is about some kids who escape from a planet that's hidden from the rest of the universe. So that planet is therefore not going to be affected by the cultural aesthetics of the rest of that universe because they're not interacting with them. They've been isolated for however many hundreds of years, and no one goes off world for that very reason. The whole thing's protected by basically a cloaking device of some kind. So people can never find this planet. That's why it's considered to be this myth. So if you take that into account, it's like, well, then it could look like anything. So I didn't mind that. Once I knew that was the story, I didn't.
I have to say, I legit love this poster. It's just beautiful.
It's great. It's great poster, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so
don't get posters like that anymore now. All this artwork, like detail and the colours and just how it all the vibrant colours. It's everything looks like superimposed now on the latest film covers, and it's just really dull. It's very lifeless.
So often now they're just like these Photoshop nightmares, but this is like a fully hand drawn, like poster like this was done start to finish as one piece, and like it's just rammed everything into it. A fucking exploding volcano and a submarine and a T-Rex that's underwater for some reason, and you know there's even a woman with like the cleavage showing. Like, of course,
I mean it's there's, you know, you've got the cavemen in there, you've got the pterodactyls, you've got the stegosaurus, you've got everything that happens in the movie, like action wise, is rammed on this. This is the same guy that did the designs for the posters for things like Warlords of Atlantis, and the same company made Warlords of Atlantis, At the Earth's Core, and
I missed that era of filmmaking.
Yeah, The People That Time Forgot, and Tom Chantrell designed all of those posters. And
let's got someone in the green room at the moment.
Oh, we do. Hey,
yes.
Tox is here as well. We've got our man from Special Forces. Have you ordered the book yet, Tox?
Yes, I have ordered your book. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well done. That allows you entry.
Lance, did you write a book? Oh,
I did.
God,
yeah.
That's crazy.
You may have heard about it.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. It makes a little quiet, mate. Can you turn it up, or is it just a little problem?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'll
I can hear him. I can hear him. Okay. This is the only film poster that's in the book, and I contacted the Chantrell estate about it, and they had no issue with me using it whatsoever. But technically, they don't own the rights to it. The rights are actually owned by the people that still own the rights to this movie. They also own the rights to the poster. But basically, that they said, don't worry about it. They said, don't worry about it. Just put it in, and you know, if it becomes a problem, take it out. So that's what I did.
This has inspired me. I think I'm going to have to make a review of The Land That Time Forgot.
Mate, we could do those old fantasies as well, like Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts is so fucking good.
Watch them again, yeah.
That bit with Talos is just terrifying, man. It's so cool.
It's good. I talk about that's one of the films that's in the book, seen in a double bill with The Humanoid. Have you watched The Humanoid yet, Drinker?
I have not. No, I've never even heard of The Humanoid.
Okay, mate. I'm now going to treat you to a quick clip from The Humanoid. We're going to do this because, it basically it came out a year after Star Wars, and you know how the Italians, they like to jump on anything that's successful. The whole movie is online, and what happened was it was really heavily trailered. They went mass advertising on it, right? You won't believe that this electronic score is actually, it's Morricone who did the score for this, right? And
King.
Yeah, I mean, he was, you know, not as big as he is now, obviously. But so you had the scrolling titles and everything. Yeah. And Drinker, wait till you see this opening shot. So this is the Italian version of Star Wars. We might get copyright flag.
Malevolent and power hungry, Graal has plans of vengeance that might forever alter the destiny of mankind.
Man, John Williams has got nothing on this, dude. Like,
this is still Ennio Morricone, right? So,
whoa, look at that.
These are like your rebel guys. These are the good guys, right? Hang on, now we've got here we go.
That looks familiar.
Really familiar, yeah. God,
this is like the low budget, very plastic looking version.
Yeah. I tell you what though, man, even here, like even with this shitty, like low detail miniature, there is something just immensely satisfying about watching a physical prop move across the screen like that.
Yeah, it's more
that's why it's there.
More charming than CGI.
Did you mention Battle Beyond the Stars in your book? I can't remember if you did or not.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it.
Because I've got a lot of love for that movie.
Oh no, I love it. I think it's a great film. I still think it's a great film.
I can think of two reasons why they cast Sybil Danning in it as well.
I can. Two very big reasons. Yeah, right. So you got check this out. And
give us a Darth Vader. Give us a Darth Vader.
Yeah. You're gonna get one.
See that panning through the window there, seamless.
Those pilots were sheep, not soldiers.
Yeah.
brother has made his
Wow.
army
When your mom tells you
Dark
you have to
helmet.
bear at home.
No, watch.
I can't breathe in this thing.
Astrofighter ready for launching, sire. How far are we from Metropolis?
And
We
everything,
are approaching gravity.
because everything's dubbed, it's all this really kind of like flat. Yes, sir, we're ready to go. And
Yeah.
this film is actually quite, it's Italians, so it's actually quite violent. So these guys, it's got Jaws in it from The Spy Who Loved Me. It's got
Richard Keel.
Yeah,
Damn.
Richard Keel's in it. He plays the humanoid.
man.
He's the lead. And you've got Corinne Clary, who was in Moonraker in this. You've also got Barbara Back, who was in Spy Who Loved Me. And what I realized was that Barbara Back and Richard Keel probably had the same agent, because they ended up getting cast or put up for quite a lot of the same films together.
Barbara Bach was one of my biggest Bond girl crushes. Like, she was gorgeous in that movie.
She looks good now. I think she's like pushing 80, but she still looks good.
And she's also one of the better actresses in a lead Bond girl, I would say. She's quite a strong actress compared to some of the other. Plus, they didn't redub her voice, which is nice. But if you watch this sequence, right, Growl sends these guys down to capture this stuff. I'll turn the sound down a little bit. This whole sequence is actually pretty violent. They kill this sentry guy, they get his pass, and they go in. So I talk about this film in the book, and it was a double bill with Jason and the Argonauts.
Strange, one of the outer guards is coming up.
How I remember it.
Be on duty. What's going on?
Yeah, don't do them anymore. The triple bills.
Yeah, so
God.
it's actually quite what the practical effects with people, the explosions on the people. This is not CGI. It's really well done.
The pilot's okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the laser effects aren't great, but
they work though, don't they? And these guys basically break into this science lab, and they literally just like massacre everybody that gets in their way. So they go into all these rooms with like lots of civilians, just kill everyone.
just killing them randomly.
Everybody does all these like spectacular death scenes, and
I was 1 week from retirement. No.
Yeah, lots of that. But I'll tell you what, though, Drinky, you gotta watch the whole film, because it definitely comes under the so bad it's good category. Yeah. That's a quick shot of Barbara Back here. She needs this serum to keep her young. So there you go.
Oh, hello.
And it is her. It's her real voice, of course, redubs. And there's Richard Keel with his R2D2 sort of. This is when he's been turned into the humanoid. So now he's all angry, and he's got his little robot who's called Kit.
This movie didn't call for much acting wise from him, did it?
No, he just played himself, really. But this is like the R2D2 in the movie, and man, I mean, later on when they get into the bad guy's base, which is a bit like the base in You Only Live Twice, it's sort of in this. And by the way, there's a Luke Skywalker type character who's called Nick, very inventively, who's played by quite a well-known Italian actor of the day. But when they get into the base, look at the corridors. Like, wonder where they got the idea for these designs from. Very, very Star Wars.
I am definitely seeing Spaceballs being inspired more by this than Star Wars.
And every time there's an action scene, they always have this same Ennio Morricone score come on. So you've got
it's like from a TV commercial or something. I thought they were about to sell me a chocolate bar.
It's kind of nuts, and sort of does fit, but at the same time it's really dumb. But it's the action stuff in it is quite well done. Lots of repeating of shots and this sort of stuff. But this is the big battle at the end. And of course the humanoid is impervious to laser fire, so now the creature that they invented is sort of against them, kind of thing. Of course, Luke Skywalker can hit everybody, but they can't hit him. That's his magical ability. Yeah. So I talk about this film in the book anyway, and the Italian director changed his name on the credits to George B. Lewis to sound a bit like George Lucas. That's true story.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, like a marketing thing.
Yeah.
It's actually, I mean, you see it at the beginning. It comes up, and there's the Ennio Morricone credit.
Bring me Steven Spielberg.
But it's the same guy that did. You know the guy that Quentin Tarantino really likes, who did Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, yeah, because he's done like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, hasn't he? And
he's
Lords, man. He's an absolute legend when it comes to music composition.
But the guy who directed Inglourious Bastards is the second unit director on this. So when you look at the action sequences on Inglourious, you can his fingerprints are all over them. Enzo G. Castellari, that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Enzo. Oh, that's a good name. I like that.
Yeah, so that's another one of the films in the book that I talk about, which was a double bill with Jason and the Argonauts, which was, they knew it was a B picture, so they thought, let's release it with something else, just in case people hate it.
I think there's a Turkish version out there as well, and I think it's on YouTube for free. I've just checked. Humanoid is on YouTube for free as well. So
yeah, it is.
I'll have to give that a watch. When did double features stop being a thing?
So I
don't remember it at all, like growing up.
I talk about them in the book. The last one that I remember going to see was in the 80s. They did a double bill of a film called, we got Bachelor Party and Revenge of the Nerds. And that was released together as a duo nationally all over the country. And both the films had never been released before. Often what happened was you'd get a new film like Avalanche Express, which everybody said was going to be a turkey, and it bombed. And that was the last film of Robert Shaw. And they packaged that with Skyriders, which is a great movie if you've never seen it. And that was what they used to do. It was like one film that they thought wasn't going to do very well. What have we got that didn't get a big release in the UK before, but is actually an okay movie? Oh yeah, we'll package it with that. So you had Scanners and Extro. They were together as a double bill. We saw that. Me and Martin saw that when neither of us were old enough to see either film. I think I mentioned that in the book, but yeah, Bachelor Party and Revenge of the Nerds was one of the first double 18s that we went to, and it was one of the last double bills that I can recall.
Well, and then Tarantino tried to bring it back in 2007, but that Grindhouse double feature, although I thought it was great, it flopped. It did not do well, unfortunately.
I think it only really works with certain type of films, because if you're doing a big movie produced by a studio, let's say the typical budget of the day, 20 to 40 million pounds, you're not going to want to pair that up with another big film from your studio, because people buy one ticket to see two movies. You're reducing your revenue automatically. But if it's B movies, not everybody goes to see those. But if it's two films, now you kind of think, okay, I might go and see, because I'm seeing two films. I feel like I'm saving money, so hey, let's go and see it, But yeah, so I think there's about 10 double features in the book that I've mentioned, roughly. And I think most of those were in the version that you got, Drinker. My favorite double feature that I went to see, without a doubt, was definitely Avalanche Express, which I actually thought was okay, and Skyriders, which I have the Blu-ray of on the shelf behind me. But you can see there's a really good high-res copy of the whole movie on YouTube, and it's James Coburn. It's basically about a whole a rich family's kids get kidnapped. Susanna York is the mum. James Coburn is the ex-husband who's sort of got a bit of a background in the military and that kind of thing. The whole film is shot in Greece, which for me is a massive plus. And they hold them in the monasteries of Mount Meteora. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. They're the monasteries that are located on those top of those rocks. One of them was used in For Your Eyes Only, James Bond film. And so they actually got permission to film in one of them. And the way that they rescue the family is they use hang gliders to get to a rock nearby. Hence why the film is called Sky Riders. And then they go up and they rescue them. I'll show you guys a quick clip of it. But yeah, Drinker, watch it obviously, but this could be a good Drinker recommends, because most people of our generation have never heard or even seen of this film. This is when they rescued the kids. They're coming out. You've got Michael Beck from Rollerball.
It's like horror movie music.
The music in the film is really good. Lalo Schifrin score for this. Really good score. I've shown this as a movie quiz clip many a time.
Yeah, definitely from For Your Eyes Only.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
King.
Quick, give me that.
Yeah, that's Robert Bell.
Holy.
He's arriving with like all the police and the army and everything. Yeah, so hey, we can watch that all night, but yeah, it's really good, man. And that action sequence goes on for quite some time, and then of course eventually they get back to the hang gliders, and they're forced to, they have to fly off with the kids and take them out of there. And these are not modern hang gliders either. These are hang gliders from the 1970s. Not particularly not very robust looking, you know what I mean?
I would not fling myself off a mountain with one of those things.
So one of the guys doing the stunts with the hang glider is that very famous stuntman who did the drop in the Poseidon Adventure where he falls into the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's the same guy who was one of the firemen with Steve McQueen hanging onto the lift going down. So, yeah, and so they actually did all these stunts for real, not with the kids on board. I think they had like dummies or whatever, and jumped off the rocks to do this incredibly dangerous shit. That's the guy from the Poseidon Adventure. I wanted to interview him, but he just passed away a couple of years ago, just before I sort of started doing the interviews, which was a real shame. Great stunts in this. One of the other release names for it is called The Assault on the Hidden Fortress. I think Sky Riders is a much better title. But yeah, it was released on Blu-ray not that long ago. I've got it over here somewhere. It might be in the other room now. I don't know. Oh yeah, no, here we go. 101 Films did it. So yeah, there you go. It's a good older sort of action thriller. Not a film with a lot of nuance or anything, but good performances. Again, I talk about it in the book and how we went to see that in Avalanche Express. And we didn't actually even know it was a double bill. We thought it was going to be like a short film, because another thing that was quite common back in the late 70s and 80s was a lot of movies got released with a short. And I don't know if you guys remember when Return of the Jedi came out, but Return of the Jedi had a short attached to it all over the UK. It was one of the first fully computer animated short films. You can see it. It's on YouTube. It's called Dilemma. It's very weird. It's like people took lots of drugs and decided to make a little movie.
They didn't have that in the States.
That's right for you.
Yeah.
No, it was just in the UK. It was a UK film school. And I think George Lucas saw it. because George Lucas was all about technology, and he saw it and he went, I'd like this to be released with Return of the Jedi. And somehow I think he went to visit the film school and he got it. Yeah. So everybody saw it. I had to see that short like 9 times because I went to see Return of the Jedi 9 times. Quick super chat. Dan Candy, just brought my copy, Lance. I placed a rush order. It'll be here Friday. My negative review will be posted tonight.
I found the book shallow and pedantic.
Yeah, I'll make sure I take your name out of it now.
Just before you go on, Lance, I'm probably going to have to jump off, unfortunately.
That's
I wanted
right.
to just come in and congratulate you on your book and say how much I appreciated the work that you put into it. And I think it's one I would definitely recommend to everyone who's watching this.
Thank you very much.
Now.
I really appreciate it. I know you'll be on a open bar tomorrow. So thanks very much. Thanks for all your support as well. I mean, the fact that you did the forward for me and I was able to kind of give it the Drinker Approves meant a lot to me personally, and of course I dare say it won't hurt the book sales. So I of all the ones I've written, I think this is the one that maybe it will land with people. I don't know. I'm going through my Tom Cruise moment. I'm at the crisis of confidence.
Everybody goes to movies, Lance, so why wouldn't they? I mean,
no, I think so. But I did have my proofreader read it. To be fair, she was probably focusing on the proofreading stuff. And I said, but yeah, what do you think of it, though? She was like, it's all right. I like the personal stuff. I'm not interested in the films or the cinemas so much. And I was like, okay, well, because I wanted to have a wider appeal than just, nerds. And that's what I'm hoping that it will land with. Everybody goes to the cinema at different times in their life, and there's all those stories are in there. So hopefully it will resonate with a wider audience. But
once I start promoting it for you, we're going to get all the dirty strippers to read your book, and that's what's going to help. That's what's
between you and Drinker doing that, I expect a whole coven of dirty strippers to be recommending the book to people on their TikToks and Instagram accounts. If Tatiana's TikTok account is not recommending this, Drinker, I want to know what went wrong.
Well, I don't like her to have too much internet access because she might send out a plea for help. So got to be careful with that.
See, he understands. He gets it, Lance. He gets it.
All right, listen, buddy. Thanks a lot for popping on, and I really appreciate it. And
no, anytime, man.
I'll see you with my hammer tomorrow.
Yeah, do some good banning. All right, cool, man. Catch you guys later.
Take care, man.
Take it easy.
Fantastic. Tox, while I dash to the bathroom, why don't you tell people quickly about your book?
I would love to do that. Anyway, Slapdash, which is on Amazon now, you can get it on Kindle for $3. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited for free, and you can get the paperback, the hard paperback long version, for either $12.98 over there in the UK or $15 flat over here in the United States. It follows the story of James McCulley, who is a rough and tumble kid from the trailer parks of South Florida, who grows up, becomes a military intelligence officer in the United States Army, goes overseas, fights in some wars, makes some mistakes, winds up in prison, has a couple of tragedies that he suffers, and once he's released, he's not good for much else except for becoming a bagman in between a biker gang in the Midwest called the Dirty White Boys and the Kansas City mob. He gets embroiled in a bit of a chase between this device that has all of the Kansas City mob's blackmail evidence and places they've hidden money, which the DWB, or Dirty White Boys, wants to get a hold of, and also the federal government, who has their thumb on the back of Jimmy's neck, wants to get a hold of quite badly. And with the help of his private investigator stepdaughter, he tries to worm his way out of it and see what he can do to not wind up in the crosshairs of these three antagonists. And it takes place mostly in Kansas City, but also in Lawrence, Kansas, and Leavenworth, Kansas, for the third act. All of places that I've lived and worked, both in the military and in my various endeavors as military policeman. And it is available now. It's been available this week. We broke 100 a few days ago, and it's picking up pretty good speed. I've been getting a bunch of requests for signed copies, which I'm very happy to do for anybody that would like to do that. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
Northern-
I've already had a load of requests for those, and I mean anybody in the UK. There's a London YouTube. Well, there's a UK YouTubers meet on the 20th of December. At the same bar that we had the one with the Drinker and everybody in London. It's near Old Street Sports Bar. So I'm quite happy to sign copies there. I'll have a few with me, not loads, but if you bring a copy with you, I'll sign it. But I don't know how to do copies for people in the States, because what I'd have to do is order them first.
Yeah.
And then they've got to pay not only for the book, but also the postage. And let me tell
Yeah.
you, the postage for a book to the States is a killer. By the time you've paid for the book and the postage, you're looking at between 40 and 50 bucks. So, I mean, it's, yeah.
That you could maybe come up with a way to do a digital signature on something, but yeah, beyond that, when it's overseas like that, hey Al, what's up in it, baby?
Indeed.
Yeah, no, you missed a drinker, man. You missed a drinker.
Never mind.
Well, hey, you're on the same stream. I've just dropped the link for Slapdash in the chat there. And I'll put the link for my books as well in just a second. So yeah, if you want to support Tox's book, or you know somebody who might like that kind of book, even if it's not for you, recommend it to them. And you can do the same with mine as well, which might not be for everybody.
I wonder if I could take advantage of this moment while we're live to weasel a favor out of you, Lance, and maybe you would be willing to do the forward on my next book if I sent you an advance copy, and I could. Would that be something that would be?
It depends on two things. One, primarily when that might be, because I'm going to tell you, I've got a very busy start to the year in terms of things I've already committed to. And by the way, there is a stack of books in my house, friends' books, that dates back. Some of them go back 2 years that I've not had time to read yet, because I've been so busy doing one book after another, or doing the show, or doing YouTube, or so that's not a no, but just letting you know, I've got a bit of a back catalogue of books of friends that they haven't asked me to do the forward, to be fair, but they just want my opinion on them. And I'm like, yeah, have you read my book yet? Nah, sorry. And I have to be in I can't just pick up a book and read it. I've got to be in the right mood to read the right book, if that makes sense.
It does.
A bit like sometimes you're in the mood to, see a horror film, but other days, you may not want to watch a horror movie. You're not in that headspace. So, Gord, man, I'll see you in the chat. Let me know if you want to come on, Gord. I'll send you the link. It all depends on if I'm going to do the forward with it, which I'm absolutely happy to do. It depends on the type of book it is. If I think I can contribute something worth saying. Oh, have I lost Toxic? Where's he gone?
He said he's going to go back out and back in again.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
So I'll just carry on talking then. Yeah, it all depends on what it is. I'm gonna send the I'm gonna drop the link right in the chat, mate. Risky, and then we'll and then Gord, once you've got it, because you're a moderator, you can actually delete that comment. Just don't ban me from my own channel, please.
Drunk with power.
I could try and do it with.
I know. Anyway, yeah, let me just I need to drop these links in. So Tox is rebooting, is he?
Yeah, he just said he was going to go out and back in again, so I presume he's having some kind of problems.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite up for doing the forward as long as it's a book that I feel I can. For example, if it's a book about Belgian flower making, which it probably isn't. Welcome back.
How's that? Any better? How's that sound? Good?
No, you sound good. You sounded all right before, man.
Oh, somebody in the chat said I turned my comms up.
Maybe it was a bit low, but I could hear it.
Okay.
But yeah, so just talking about the forward for your book, it all depends on what the book's about. If I'm going to do a forward for somebody, I want to feel like I can make a valid contribution. So if your book is about Belgian cheese making,
Yeah.
that might not be a specialty topic of mine.
I'm marking that off the list then. Definitely. Well, that
Yeah,
was the
don't
plan.
don't send me your Belgian cheese making.
I won't. I won't.
But if it's, you know, knowing you, it's probably about action or special forces or something like that. And I mean,
Pretty
I'm
much.
quite into that. So
All right. Well, good.
that's something I can make a you know, I can make a contribution to. Welcome, Gord King.
All hail the king.
Hello. And hello to the rest of you gents.
So, Gord, I just realised I haven't mentioned Michael Cera in the book at all.
Oh no!
No, I feel a bit bad about that.
Call Amazon, have it pulled. There's still time.
Well, his career, I think, took off in the 90s, sort of mid 90s onwards. I'm guessing.
No.
That's no.
It really. I don't think it really took off till Arrested Development.
Yeah, I think maybe the early aughts, and then 2007 was what you call it.
He was Scott Pilgrim, wasn't he?
He was. That was 2010.
Yeah.
Arrested Development was a few years before that.
The period of my life where there's a big sort of blank is kind of 1995 until about 2005. That's the 10-year section. There's loads of stuff missing. So in my book, you get lots of films from the late 70s and 80s and a couple from the early 90s. Then there's a massive chunk where there's only like a couple of movies, which are, I think, True Lies and Heat pretty much represent everything from 95 until about 2002. And then there's a few from the early 2000s. And then from 2005 onwards, there's loads. Because when I had my brain hemorrhage thing was Christmas of 2005. And the whole 10 years before that all just disappeared. So I've got practically no memories. I've got cinema tickets. So I have been able to say what I saw when. And then, you know, I spoke to somebody who was at my Heat birthday party and they told me all about that. And then I remembered I had a thank you letter that somebody wrote me about that party, which I tracked down and I found, which I actually then reproduced in the book. And then somebody else who went to see True Lies with me said, hey, don't you remember that was when you had your court case against Virgin? And I'd forgotten all about that, in fact, and like the court case and everything, let alone seeing the film. So I had to go back over that with them, and they kind of brought me up to speed on that. So, you know, it was a whole thing. But
it must suck to not be able to remember how you felt watching a film.
Oh no, I mean, I've seen it. For example, I've seen True Lies a gazillion times since. So,
yeah, but I mean, like the first time round in the cinema, because it is a different experience, isn't it?
I saw it at Empire Screen 1, and I'm sure little flashes kind of come back here and then when I start talking about stuff. But the thing is with that period in my life is I don't know if I'm remembering things or if I'm just picturing things with my imagination because somebody tells me it happened.
Yeah, you get that kind of Mandela effect going on, don't you?
Yeah, so I've sort of really dependent on the behest of other people to sort of fill in those blanks. And it's also weird because I spoke to one person who said, you know, oh yeah, this and this happened in that time. And then somebody else said to me, no, that's not how that happened. This happened. And I'm like, okay. So actually it got to a point where I just thought, you know what? The past is, I don't really need to remember anything from this period. Let's just forget about it and keep going forward. So, but when writing this book, it was a little bit of a handicap because there were lots of films that came out in that time period that were really great. That I couldn't really talk about those cinema experiences because I couldn't remember them, even though I had the tickets for some of them. So, you know, there we are. But Gord, what's going on in Pumpkinland?
Not a ton, I guess. I mean, we just obviously we're doing MMM still, and I've been doing videos more frequently. I'm working on a script for one now, which is going to be a bit of a longer one. I'm right now catching up on Penguin. I'm doing a video between Poorly Explains right now. I've done 5 of those, and now I'm gonna take a break and do a longer form script. I'm actually we covered the first Twilight movie on MMM, and it was so funny that I kind of got the notion that I could maybe do a fun little script breakdown of it. So that's what I'm working on right now, because it's turning Sweet 16. So there's a whole new generation of girls who have grown up and could be experiencing that hilarious movie now, because it's
honestly, I think you
so funny.
It will probably make the film better.
It could.
Just watch that and not the film.
I will never forgive my daughter for dragging me to all those movies. Yeah, I'll never forgive her.
I was watching Twilight with a girl in bed, pretty much with a guarantee of sex if I could get through the film, and I still couldn't fucking do it. I still fell asleep.
So
wow.
you didn't. So when you'd finished the film, were you waking up for snoo, or did you?
I was not, sadly. No. I fell asleep and I woke up, and it was the bit where they're in the forest and he walks out into the sun, and I was like, oh, maybe he'll get something out or something, and he starts fucking sparkling. And she's literally sitting there all blue-eyed, looking at fucking Edward Cullen or whatever his name was. And
You're beautiful.
Yeah, no, I was just like, oh, fuck.
You know,
I had later. It's not a problem.
I almost, I can forgive so much about those movies, except for Kirsten Stewart's mouth being open the entire time.
Oh my God,
that thing she does.
That, didn't she?
No. Okay, here's what you're not remembering though. As funny as that is, it doesn't come close to all of the utterly bizarre expressions that cross her face. I mean, literally, there are scenes in that movie where she should be wearing a shirt that serves as like an epilepsy warning, because watching her face could throw you into a seizure.
Yeah,
she's like just the award show, and she's completely out of it.
There are scenes where she goes through like 65 facial expressions in mere seconds. It's unbelievable. I'm like, who coached this girl to act in this movie?
No one.
Kristen Stewart can act. Kristen Stewart's been in movies where she can act. She's good in Panic Room when she was a kid. Underwater in 2020, I thought she was great in that.
She was
Twilight. She's awful.
Jesse Eisenberg. You're rabble, Jesse Eisenberg.
Talking of things that can give you seizures, check these out.
Sexy. You know what those look like? Those look like the glasses they use at the final heist in Baby Driver that is going to fool the cameras and make sure they're invisible to cameras.
Change the colors as well. It's like nuts.
Those are dope. Lance,
Fun
you get
times.
Lance gets all the bitches with those glasses.
Yeah.
Very Blade Runner.
I went away from those people with the t-shirts where the words go across the chest.
Yeah. It's the same. I wear them on stage for dancing on the podium when I'm raving. So there you go. I've got 2 different pairs of those. Hang on, let me reduce my solo screen situation here. Boom, there we go. Excellent. So, Gord, have you ordered a copy of my book yet?
I'm going to be ordering it on Friday.
Amazon.com. Here's the link.
Yep. I've already. You sent me a link this morning. I have put it on my wish list. I will be ordering it this Friday. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
The BOD section of that link stands for Big Organs Donated.
Oh no.
Nice.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's good. I do actually.
Yeah, when I get mine, I'll do a episode of my Consider the Source.
Very kind.
Well, and I did wish list your book as well.
In the acknowledgements at the back, there is a section that says big shout out to all my fellow YouTube collaborators. At one point I was going to start listing them, and I thought, nah, I'm going to forget somebody. This is a recipe for disaster.
It's
a long. You don't realize until you start listening. It's like, oh, I know a lot of people.
Yeah. I do know a lot of people, because I did a thank you by name to all the people I go raving with, and that list just kind of, like, I thought, oh, it's only a few people. I did about 20 people, and I was like, hang on, there's loads of people missing from this list. So then it just kind of like got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was going, what? There's like 75 people here now. So
108-page book and 48 pages of it is thanks.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's 20 pages of acknowledgements.
I have told the people who've bought my book, the signed copies that I've shipped out to them, I have told them that I would put them in the acknowledgements in the next one.
Oh,
So
nice.
they seem pretty happy about that.
So how do you sign them? Because I thought Amazon printed the books and then
They
sent
do.
them.
So yeah, so I went ahead and bought 20 copies when
Gotcha.
I first got it.
You can buy author copies at
Yes, offer
production
copies.
price, and you can buy up to like about 500 of those.
You can. And I went ahead and I took a chance and got 20 and put it out there when I advertised. I said, you know, if you would like a signed copy, you know, this is especially in the Facebook groups that are just for the towns, like the Kansas City Star and the Lawrence, Live Love Lawrence, which these are the towns in which a lot of the action takes place. And surprisingly, I got a lot of people. I would like a signed copy. I would like a signed copy. And some of them I don't even have to ship. They just come up to my office and pick them up. To a guy that works at Rent-A-Center down the street from my office. He just walked up and, you know, brought his copy in and got a copy from me, and I just signed it right there and did the thing. So that was easy, $25, you know. So I'll profit.
So the reason the book was late was because I added all these pictures,
which was a good idea.
It was a good idea because it, you know, as a diary style book, which is.
I take it you've received an author's copy and checked the typesetting and everything, yeah.
Yeah. I got a proofreader on it as well, but
cool. Yeah, because my mate wrote a book and the typesetting on it was absolutely astonishingly bad. I couldn't believe they printed it.
No, yeah. Well, fortunately, I mean, this is my 14th book, so I'm a little.
Oh
bit
wow, really? 14?
Little bit ahead of the game, yeah. So I added things like a picture of my mum and dad. I should have made that picture a bit bigger actually, so I may well change that. So, you know, and then that's my dad's workplace, which is about 4 doors down from Hamleys, the very famous toy store in London. Which I talk about my campaign to get dad to buy me things from Hamleys, which often resulted in failure. But one of the reason I mentioned that shop is because they sold fire extinguishers, and how my dad ended up getting tickets to see the London premiere of the Towering Inferno, which I talk about here, was because the producer, Irwin Allen, who of course produced Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Time Tunnel and all those Land of the Giants, all those shows, Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno, which to my mind is the daddy of disaster film.
It is.
My father would agree.
He was in London to prepare the premiere for the movie The Towering Inferno about 2 months ahead. He went to London on business. He's walking down Regent Street, and my dad did these amazing displays in New Swiss Window where he had these really big blowers out of sight, and then he would get all this silver and red shiny wrapping paper like the stuff you get for Christmas, and he would put the blowers under that, and he'd create all these flames going up in the window, very, very effective, like a live fire in the window.
Yeah, because it would flicker because of the foil. Yeah,
because he was in charge of all the graphic elements, graphic design. He designs all the packaging, all the logos. He created this animated creature called the Fire Fiend, which was on part of their advertising.
Okay,
and Irwin
Allen, you've got family history in film then.
Well, this is the extent of my dad's involvement in film. He was a graphic designer, but Irwin Allen goes past the store, sees the fire display, thinks, "Oh, you know what? We should get these guys involved in advertising Towering Inferno." So he basically went in, saw my dad, who was the manager of that store, and said, "Look, you know, we'd like to invite everybody from the company to come to the London premiere of Towering Inferno, 2 tickets for every person who works here. You come to the after party, etc., etc. And we'll also, you know, I don't know what sponsorship deal they did. I'm sure they got a few quid. We'd like to hire out your window." Bearing in mind, this is Regent Street, premium London window display. Back in the day when, you know, that sort of advertising was really valuable. And sure enough, I remember the first time I went to see my dad at work, massive display for Towering Inferno. My dad created this 3-dimensional version of the poster, which he then put the flames coming through the poster of the tower. He cut gaps out in it and had all these live flickering flames in the tower. And that filled up their window for about 4 months. So my dad got to go to the premiere of Towering Inferno. And then when it came on the TV, which was about a year later, Boxing Day 1975 was the day I saw it. I talk about all that, and my dad was so excited. He was like, "Oh, you're going to get to see the film I went to the premiere for," and so that's all a big story in the book,
Awesome.
because it was a really big deal for Dad that he was at that premiere, and he was always very fascinated in films and how they did things and how they achieved things and stuff of that nature. And then I talk about The Longest Day further down in this section, and let me skip along here. And that was the film that got me not only into World War II history, but it also got me into wargaming, right? And which became a huge part of my life. So this is the section about The Longest Day. So one of the big sequences in Longest Day is the assault on Pointe du Hoc. So here, this is a miniature gaming setup. It's not one of mine. It's a photograph taken at a games convention of these guys that did their own miniature version of Pointe du Hoc. That's an amazing model if you look at that.
So what the hell did you play back then? Because that's way before Bolt Action or even Warhammer or anything like that. Was it just
back in those days, we used to play with Airfix toy soldiers, big scale and small scale, and we war gamed with them. And then you would build scenery out of whatever you could get your hands on.
Okay.
Lots of books and.
So was it an actual rule set, or did you just homebrew it?
No. We made up our own rules, but then I got into tabletop wargaming with counters.
Right. Yeah.
And that was when I started. I'd buy SPI was one of the first games companies. So I talk about that. This is the Pegasus Bridge production team inside the glider at Pegasus Bridge in the Memorial Museum. So there's myself standing up in the middle. You've got actor Jake Francis and Mike Beckenham, who is Simon Pegg's younger brother, on the left.
Nice.
Nicola Gregory, who's a very well-established film and BAFTA-nominated TV series producer. She was here for the movie quiz on the right. And it was her that said to me, why don't you put more pictures in the book? So so that's when I sort of started going through the stories and thought, what pictures have I got that are relevant? I've probably got another 50 pictures I could easily put in this book. I've got a photograph somewhere of us all outside the cinema of the very first screening of Die Hard. I've got another picture of us all outside the screening of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but it's not a group photo.
Right.
One of those awkward photos of people standing around waiting and not everybody's in it. So I'm not sure how exciting that photo would be.
Coffee table photo book incoming.
Well, I might do a second edition and add a whole load more pictures. I've remembered at least another 10 movie stories that definitely should have been in the book that aren't. Things that you just suddenly remember because you're talking about stuff, and then somebody says, oh yeah, what about that? What the time we went to see that and that happened,
Well, over time, you'll probably have enough to do another volume.
Exactly.
Further recollection.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's another possibility. Is Tora is in there. That's the first time I realised that World War II involved the Japanese. Until then, I just thought World War II was basically the UK and the Americans against the Germans. I didn't know that Russia was in World War II until the 1980s, I think. 1980 or something like that was when I, realised there's me holding two vinyls with my nan. If you look closely, I'm holding the soundtrack to Moonraker and ELO's Out of the Blue. So I clearly was never going to become an accountant. So yeah, my nan used to take me to the cinema, so it was great to have a picture of her. There's a whole section on Kelly's Heroes, got a section on Jaws. That is the cinema I saw Jaws at, and you can see it's an embassy, and if you look at it, it's showing Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was
like a sweet book. I look forward to checking it out.
Yeah, I feel like this is a great tabletop book, especially for those of us that are cinephiles and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a book you can you don't have to read it in order.
No.
But
you
will
just do a year here and a year there, and
yeah. But if you don't, you'll probably read a bit and go, oh, hang on, why does he feel that way? Perhaps I've missed something, and you might have to go. There are a couple of there's a couple of proper personal mic drops that I put in the book that I've never talked about publicly, which you're going to read a section and go, hang on, sorry, what happened there? Let me read that again. This is the cinema where I worked at on and off for about 6 years.
Oh, nice.
And we used to sit up on top of that roof and eat pizza and chuck it at people. And and it was totally illegal for the staff to go up there. We found out how you could get up there, and we used to go up there and sit up there all the time. Terrible.
Lance, when you worked at a movie theater, did you guys do pre screenings on the nights before the movie dropped, so that when you splice the movie together to make sure that the movie runs properly? Did you guys do that?
They started doing some late night pre-screenings towards the end of the 80s and early 90s. They didn't do them for very long. We did. This is the first cinema in the UK that ever screened Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about that in the film. We were chosen. We don't know why we were chosen, but we had 4 special screenings in a row. One of which was Pretty Woman. I think I do mention some of the others, and it was one of those screenings where people had to fill out a load of things because it hadn't opened in the States. They were testing it. They were doing test screenings in the UK, and within 5 minutes of watching it, I knew it was going to be a massive hit.
For you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, the movie, when you work at a movie theater back in the day, the movie comes in 2 parts, like 2 cans, and they have
you got to change it over, don't you? Like when you see the cigarette burn in the corner.
Right. So the procedure, at least that we did at Regal Cinema, was so if a movie dropped on a Friday, which most did, so Thursday night, after we've cleared everybody out of the Thursday night, whatever they were watching, we take the new movies, splice them together in whatever they're going to be in, and we've got to watch them to make sure the adhesive worked in it and it went there properly. So we just have these like Thursday night movie parties up there for anyone who wanted to do it and just watch whichever of the new ones or all of them if you wanted, and check that. I think personally, besides shooting people in foreign countries, working at a movie theater is my favorite job that I've ever had.
Oh yeah, no, I mean back in the 80s it was a great job. I mean I became the box office manager I think in 89. So at that point I was like not only selling people tickets, but I say this in the book, you'd be surprised at the number of people that would come up to the box office and go, what should we watch?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, and I'd go, like when we had Glory on, which I knew probably wasn't going to, just on the surface of the poster, wasn't going to appeal to most people. And typical British audience, American Civil War, what's that? And I would be selling it to them. They'd come up to the 2 tickets for Problem Child, and I go straight away, that film's crap. You want to watch Glory? Glory is good. Glory is a great film. And then
I did the exact same thing. Yeah,
the guy would look at the girl, and the girl was, who's in it? Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, okay then, cool. Yeah, well, yeah, all right. Glory then. Yeah, all right. 2 for Glory, please.
When I worked in the box office, you could always tell who picked the movie, the guy or the girl. So the girl walks up and she says, I want to get 2 tickets for Hope Floats. And you could just see the guy's face fall. But then he comes in and he's like, we're going to get 2 tickets for 13th Warrior. And she's all pissed off. The only time they ever agree is when they get a movie like Armageddon. And
that was an underrated little film, 13th Warrior. Antonio Banderas, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very troubled production. John McTiernan, and we'll talk about that another time. This is the section on Bridge Too Far in the book, which actually is it's in the 80s section. It came out in 77, but I didn't see it until 1980. And this is my model of Arnhem Bridge that I recreated for a game show. I can actually show you this model properly, but there's a picture of that in the book, for example. And I basically went all out to win. There was a prize for best game at this game show, and I went all out. I wanted to win it that year. And somebody else did a recreation of the Dam Busters. And the Dam Busters game was the one that won what's called the Salute Shield. And I was
going to say, was it Salute?
Yeah, Salute. Yeah, you know about Salute, don't you?
Yeah, I've been to Salute a few times. Well, when I lived back down south, I went to Salute a few times. It's a bit of a trip from Nottingham to get to London, but yeah, when I lived in Essex, I used to go to Salute quite a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, I went every year when I was living in London, and I go now, and I used to be the member of the club that ran Salute. So if you're a member of that club, you have to work there.
Warlords.
South London Warlords.
Southeast Warlords. Yes.
South London Warlords.
South London Warlords. That's it, yeah.
Now I'm a member of the London War Games Guild, so I can actually go to Salute and I don't have to work there, which is an advantage because
not standing there handing out the carrier bags and stuff. Yeah.
No, it's better not to have to do that. And I like running games there.
That's the thing of going there, isn't it? There's always some historical games and stuff going on, and lots of companies showing their wares. I used to like Salute. It was good fun.
The first game that I ever ran there was a Thunderbirds game.
Oh, cool.
The second game that I ran there was the Return of the Jedi space battle game. Some of you, I think, have seen pictures of this before.
Battle of Endor, yeah, I saw that. That was really cool.
But I built this 6-foot Super Star Destroyer for that game. So, and I just found another picture of it just recently, which it's not a picture I'd seen for a really long time. I found it when I was sort of going through the photos and, what am I going to put in the book? And I found a picture of it just after we'd painted it. It's all sort of set up outside the flat. And that photo's in the book.
Star Wars Armada, 30 years before Star Wars Armada.
Yeah, I mean, we created our own rule system. People had to come down and sit down and play it in like 25 minutes. So it was, kind of come and go.
That looks amazing. Really, really cool.
Kiddle Bonkers is saying, Amazon tells me that your book can't be dispatched to me in Germany. Really? That's unusual. Normally you can, you could order it from amazon.co.uk, but if you want to order it direct from, I think there's a company. Let me just double check that for you.
That makes me wonder. I got to look into my settings and see if there's anywhere that's restricted.
Amazon.com is America, but I'm gonna double check that for you. Let me just have a look.
Presumably it'll be Amazon.de.
.co.uk, or is it another thing it ends in?
Hopefully it's not related to anything of the past. Just don't mention the wall.
Yeah.
Talk about the most. But no, it should be Amazon.de. So
yeah, basically, if you want to order the book, if you're in the UK, it's .co.uk. If you're in America, you're ordering it from Amazon.com. I have had people in America that have ordered my books from Amazon.co.uk before, and they take about 6 weeks to arrive. So
Yikes.
You want to order them from Amazon.com if you're in the. I'm just checking now. I've just gone into my account for the book, and I'm just checking. I think it's Amazon.de.
Yeah,
you're going to want to order it from. So even though I dropped some links in, if you go, it definitely is available in Germany. It's 13.25 euros. Oh, hang on. It says not offered in this marketplace. Why is that?
Oh,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Too many World War II stuff in your book, Lance. They're pissy about it.
Is that really the reality?
I doubt it very much.
No, it can't be.
No, you'd have to be very, very overt in your subject
so
material.
you have to order it from Amazon.co.uk. Then I don't know why it's not.
Do you want to quickly have a look at another country, maybe Amazon.fr, just to see?
No, I'm looking at. I'm basically it's only available in the UK and America. All the other countries in Europe, it's all listed as not offered in this marketplace. I don't understand.
It's got to be something to do with Brexit, then, isn't it?
This is the good thing about having a YouTube platform, because you can have one of your audience members tell you something like this and let you know ahead of time, so you're not missing out on an entire market of people that want to read your book. Yeah,
it might be Brexit related, Lance. It might be worth looking into. Maybe it's something to do with that.
So what I'm doing is
books.
I'm selecting hang on, I'm going in and I'm selecting territories. Do you know what? Let me just do this. All territories, right?
Luke, did you have a problem? Didn't you say earlier when you messaged me you had a problem trying to get my book?
Yeah, because I think it was because the link you sent me was .com, but the link on here is .co.uk, and I think that was why I had an easier time getting it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let me I'm just seeing if there's anything that's
You guys don't have an embargo against Germany or something, do you?
No,
No. The only thing I can think of is obviously we left the EU, so I don't know if it's related to that. But
that could be. I mean, it could be something to do with that. But I don't think this has been the case in my books previously. So
Because
okay, I don't know is the answer. I have just tried selecting some individual territories. That didn't work, so I'm just putting it back to worldwide. You just have to order it from amazon.co.uk. It'll only take about an extra week to arrive, maybe. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
maybe you can call them and talk to.
So it can't be dispatched from there. Wow, that's really weird. Delivery to Germany is pinpointed. I don't know. But yeah, good. Thank you for telling me. That is very annoying. Somebody ordered it from France today, and they definitely ordered it. They showed it to me. So I'm not sure why that's the case. I don't know.
Have it sent to Normandy, and then like a proper German.
Indeed. Yes. Well, let's not go there.
March on over.
Well, that's what they should have done.
Plot,
it's weird. I can only think it is something to do.
Plot twist. I get a copy of Lance's book to read it on a flight, and I go to Europe and stop over in Germany. And what have you here?
The airport.
What have you here?
That would be unfortunate. I'm gonna.
You end up in a small room with a light shone in your face. We have ways of making you talk. That's weird. I can only if it's all countries in the EU that's affected, I can only think it's something to do with Brexit, and they've just not thought about it in advance.
When I was in the Middle East, I couldn't get Netflix. I couldn't shop at Walmart.com. Like we could only get I spent a fortune on iTunes because iTunes was like the only thing I could stream or download music and movies and TV and stuff. So
it's just, I mean, like everything went up for us like 20%. Overnight, because previously, because we're part of the EU, we weren't subject to VAT, value-added tax on most things. As soon as Brexit happened, it was just like 20% on top of everything. Basically, it's like, oh shit.
There you go. I found that other picture I was looking for. So this picture's in the book. This is literally just as we finished painting it. There you go.
Oh, sweet, man.
And that screen. Basically, what we did was we hid this spaceship under the table. The players who were playing the various forces sat round the table. We put the screen up, and then we very carefully lifted the ship out from under the table without them seeing and put it behind the screen. So and I had my Admiral Akbar mask on, and I did the whole speech of "You could see here," and all of that.
It's a trap! It's a trap!
Yeah, and then suddenly I go, "It's a trap!" And as soon as I said that, they lifted the screen up, and the ship and all the Imperial forces appeared. The effect on the players was pretty
awesome.
devastating.
Our cruisers can't repel firepower of that magnitude.
Gary, could you put the direct link up for that in the chat, mate?
One funny thing about that,
I have to mod you up to do that, but I'll soon sort that out.
One funny thing about that particular Star Destroyer is, so my friend and I, when we were teenagers and we were both really getting into Star Wars, we played the card game, and he ended up getting the card for that particular Star Destroyer. And I had, they don't ever mention its name in the film or anything like that. Yeah. Well, it's the Executor but he called it the Executor for months. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like what the name probably is. And then I one day, he was letting me borrow some of his cards so we could play a little bit more even game. He had way better ones than I did. And I got it, and I was like, what do you keep calling this? And he was like, the Executor. I was like, it's the Executor. He was like, oh, that doesn't sound as cool. And I was like, well,
cool, does it?
I was like, well, maybe not to our teenage years.
And going, I will be on the Executor. I don't care how scary you are, Darth Vader. That sounds lame.
It was actually one of the more unique looking cards in that game too, because most of the time,
one with the white, two different border versions.
It was the one. Decipher
blue. The Empire ones were red, I think.
Yeah, well, most of the ship cards, they stood vertically, like that was their image, but the Executor is so long, it was one of the very few. It's the first first vehicle card where you had to lay it out horizontally. We were like, "Ooh, that's cool." It was a fun game though, for real. I was a little sad they stopped making that.
Yeah, same with the Star Trek one. I had loads of that as well. Decipher, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a picture of my ex-partner and me, and this picture is in the book. And
Nice.
I did a dedication to her, and talked about the time we went to the Cannes Film Festival together. And when that was like the first industry event that we really did together. And we could go into any room, and with her by my side, we would completely wipe the floor. You know what I mean? So like anybody who was anybody wanted to come and talk to us because I had Alison standing next to me. And yeah, so we killed it when we were in Cannes together. Still didn't quite manage to make that film deal, sadly. There was something that nearly happened, which I talk about in the book. Didn't quite happen because of the stupidity of somebody else. And that's kind of
Was it Kathleen Kennedy?
Kathleen Kennedy was not involved. And yeah, so yeah, anyway, so lots of stories of that kind of nature. Plus I do talk about the actual films as well. What I don't do is it's not like Quentin Tarantino's book, which is quite a sort of detailed film analysis.
Yeah. It's more about your memories and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just you know, I mean, the entry, for example, about Star Wars. What was the third prequel movie called?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, right? The section in the book about that is Revenge of the Sith. I'm not going to talk about this movie because it was crap. I am going to talk about a story that's attached to when I went to see this movie. Let me continue.
I was going to ask if you put crap films in there as well, or is it just good films you're talking
about? There's a couple of, I mean, you know, Humanoid, you know, it's a so bad it's a good movie, but it's in there. Yeah, I mean, there are some.
Is there a load of Corman stuff in there?
There's Corman certainly gets a few mentions, but I mean, a lot of the memories that I've got, the reason I've got the memories is because the films were either good or powerful, or resonated with me.
I saw a film today that I'll remember for a long time, actually.
What film was that?
The Conclave.
Oh, I have heard about that movie. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, but some of the films are in my memory because you know, they're connected to a breakup, or it's the last film I saw with my dad, or the last film I saw with my mum. So, you know, writing about those sections was extremely difficult, you know. Yeah, it was that was quite tough at times. And I tried to sort of keep it not too, I didn't want it to get too heavy. I was just on Tomby's channel, and I actually just told the whole story about what happened with Pegasus Bridge in some detail. But that level of detail is not in the book. I mentioned I was going to make it, and then, you know, you go a bit further into the book, and then then you realize it's not happening, and then you go a bit further into the book, and then you realize some of the ramifications of that film not happening for me were really fucking huge. But I don't get into the whys and wherefores of that because I don't think it's not a book about that topic per se. So yeah, I keep it. I try and keep it all connected to the movie, and not go down too many rabbit holes. You know, there's a few, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's out. People can get it. I know now it's all about getting the reviews. I've got to get 100 reviews on Amazon by New Year's Day. So technically, I've got 4 of those reviews right here. So that's 97 6 to go.
So what does that do for you if you get 100 reviews?
It's just my personal target, but if I can get 100,
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's not a stipulation by Amazon or anything like that.
No. It's all about algorithms. It's a bit like if you get 10,000 subscribers, that you've got to remember there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of self-published books.
Oh yeah, I'm planning on doing one myself next year.
The Gourd King Conquers, the Gourd King Escapes, very popular range.
Gourd King rides again.
Revenge of the Gourd King.
My exploding pumpkin.
That part's my favorite.
His mission to stop women from driving after
Gourd King and friends.
So if you get 100 reviews, which is a good number.
Yeah,
it's very hard to get reviews because you're asking people to sit down and give you more of their time, which is just very difficult to achieve of strangers. That's why it's hard to get subs for YouTube. It's the same thing. So, but I've got enough people in my fan base that I reckon I can get 100 by New Year's Day. I reckon that's doable. And that's what I want to achieve. So I had that as a goal with my Diamonds in the Sky book, and I hit 50, and then it just flattened out. But I didn't have anywhere near the Contacts fan base or the Gourd King army at my disposal back then. Whereas now,
yeah, I mean, this is a more rounded kind of subject, surely, as well. A more approachable. More people would be interested in it. So, everybody loves reading about film memories and stuff, especially if it's from somebody with the insight in the industry and stuff like that.
Yeah, indeed.
I actually want to do an interview with you myself at some point because I want to go through what's involved or who does what in the making of a film. Like, what's the difference between a cinematographer and a director? I have no fucking idea. So I figured I'd talk to you for an hour about it. It would be quite interesting if you're up for it sometime.
No, absolutely, we can do that. I mean, I'm basically making myself available to do interviews about the book, to plug it to
awesome. No, we can definitely
anyone's channel whatsoever. I don't care if you've got 10 subscribers. I'll come on and talk about the book.
That's good because I ain't got any subscribers
for half an hour. Or
algorithms
I'll come on Facebook Live with you or whatever. I don't. It's all promotion.
You're telling me Gorhythm doesn't come after Critical Owl?
What? Well punned, my friend. Well punned.
Very good. It's a pun
somebody called Amy Curtis is now following me on Twitter, and I'm always suspicious. Any female you normally click on, and it's like, hey, this is my OnlyFans account. Come click here to get adult pictures on that, please.
I'm not suspicious. I'm only disappointed when I have to say on Twitter after following me.
48 hours of being on Twitter is sex box.
No, this is a real person. Mum, Catholic girlfriend, etc. Probably a friend of Toxics because Republics get the governance they deserve and no better, is they? Thanks for following me. She looks cool. So fun times. I think that must probably came out of Tomby's stream. I was on there with about 8 other people. Oh, by the way, I'm on about. Last time I checked, it's about 190 subs to go until I hit 5K.
Nice.
So I'm nearly there. Getting there. Let's just have a quick look and see what that's at now. I'm at 4,809.
Get yourself back on the open bar. Promote the book on there. You'd be laughing.
191. Yeah. Listen, open bar is great, but Drinker's got about 20 people every week hassling him to be on open bar, and I'm not one of those people that phones up and moans and said, and there are quite a few people that do that on a fairly regular basis, and I've had conversations with him about that. And
but he does like boosting the smaller channels, which is really
good.
Oh
no, absolutely. And he's had me on many times, and I suspect that I will be on there soon. Anyway, look, I'm going to wrap this up now because it's 11:15. I've got to eat something before I go to bed, and I know Toxic's got to go anyway. So I wanted to thank you, good gentlemen, as well as Drinker, for coming on and chatting to me about bollocks and pumpkins and the book. Mostly the book, but a little bit of bollocks and pumpkins.
Lance, did you write a book? Have you written a book?
The book is now available.
I've already got the review planned. It's a 4-word review. The 4-word was great.
Nice.
Well, look, I'm like I said, I'm going through the Tom Cruise section of the movie where he's having a crisis of confidence. I don't know if it's going to resonate with people or not. I think maybe it will. Maybe it's kind of too niche, too personal. I don't know.
No.
We'll see.
Positive thinking. Positive
Yeah, man,
thinking.
I think
Yeah, but I've got to have in order
people-
to achieve victory, I have to go through the middle section of the film, which is the Tom Cruise crisis of confidence. Then I am thinking positively. Don't get me wrong, but I've got to go through that section to get there. So
I will say this, Lance: if you and I ever started a live show, it would have to be called Bollocks and Pumpkins.
Love it.
mate.
That sounds like a live show.
Whenever you want me there, obviously I'm the bollocks in that section, but whenever you want me there, I'm there. Anyway, the book is out now. It's on, here it is. It's on Amazon. Silver Screen Journeys, forward by the Critical Drinker. Do please support the book if you can. Do check out the channels of my good buddies, Gould King, Lord of Toxicity, Northern Bastard. They've all got various bits and pieces and things happening. And obviously, if you need an undead pumpkin army to go and take on your adversaries and defeat them, Gould King's rates are reasonable. His army is available for hire. So yeah, do get in touch with him. But that's it for now. We're going to sign off because this was impromptu. It wasn't even planned. I will be back on Tuesday for the Nielsen ratings. I've got an industry interview every day next week.
Wow.
So
Damn.
check them out. They're already up on the channel. I've got an independent film director coming on. I've got a couple of DJs. I've got a couple of another independent film director the following week. So I'm trying to hit that 100. And these are very much independent creatives that I'm promoting in the run up to Christmas. More big guests also planned in the not too.
Did Craig Tui get in touch with you? I did give him your details.
Who did? Who?
Craig Tui. He directed Everyone's Gonna Die, also known as The Visitors.
No, he hasn't. No, not as far as I know, unless it's ended up in spam and I haven't seen it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But thanks very much, guys. Do like and subscribe. Support my collaborators' channels, and we'll see you all again soon.
He's creative, how about you? Share your passion.